I'm talking about um, two different creator studios in YouTube, and only one of them has direct link to get you over to Hangouts. Now I'm in Hangouts and I can't find a way to send my good friend, Mr. Marty Edwards, a link. So I just sent him a message here, getting a little frustrated, and basically said, how the hell do I send you a link to Hangout? Because there's nothing on here. There's screen sharing, which has nothing to do with sharing a screen with somebody else. It's sharing a screen from my Mac. Um, we have cameraman, we have control room, we have Hangout toolbox. You know, all of these do me absolutely no good. Oh, there we go. I think I figured out how to do it. And Google produces the worst user experiences I've ever seen. There we go. So hopefully he's going to show up here shortly. I apologize for that. We're a little bit late tonight. I'm just going to try to calm down now because I'm not real happy with Google Hangouts or YouTube Live. May have to go back to Facebook, except we have some viewers who say they will never use Facebook again. So if we did anything with Facebook, we wouldn't get them to watch, which, you know, maybe I'll just record this thing separately and we'll go ahead and just upload it to YouTube, because the live streaming, nobody watches anyway. So what the hell, you know? At this point, I don't think he's connected yet. There he is. Hey, you're here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was a little complex there, wasn't it?
I am right now. I'm not real happy with Google Hangouts or YouTube Live.
I thought
But
you was going to say or with you.
what that?
I thought you was going to say or with you, because I actually told you wrong, and I apologize. I said
No,
it was
no
not.
problem.
I said it was not live streaming. It's a sub menu under live streaming. I had to go look.
Oh, it is not a problem, because every time I would get into YouTube Live, it would, or, you know, YouTube tried to go live. It was using the new Creator Studio and wouldn't let me get back to the old Creator Studio where I could actually go in and create an event. And then not real happy with the tools. So, but hey, we're here, and we'll just have a shorter show than usual. But this is episode 45 of AWT TV, and you know, we're going to get these problems worked out after, you know, sometime in September, because both of us are going on a little bit of a what do you want to call it, hiatus?
He means he and his wife. I'm not going. When you said both of us, yeah, sorry.
Well, you're not going to be there either, so
Yeah, right.
But anyway, we're going to not be back until sometime in September. I think we did figure out a date there, but it's going to be a while, and probably September 18th is my guess.
That's what I was looking at. Well, as long as you were having trouble with some Google things, you mentioned my bombshell about Android this week. I want to show you something. I know, well, Ruby's listening. Maybe the lady with the fiber, she was watching a while ago. She said, Steve is looking for you. I said, but I want to show you a little something I think you'll appreciate. See the notch?
Hey.
I got an iPhone 10.
What the hey?
iPhone 10. So
wait, I'm just doing one of these.
Yeah, I knew you'd be shocked.
What happened?
Well, All right, the Android phone I had last week. First of all, I guess the fingerprint scanner went out, wouldn't work. I mean,
Okay.
I could not scan fingerprints. I took it back to the store. He said that's the second we've had brought in doing that. So I just returned it, got my contract reset. You know, I can renew it anytime. So last Friday, Ruby and I drove to the Apple store in Louisville, Kentucky, bought an unlocked iPhone 10, and popped the SIM in it. Everything works. And I've got a good article. I say good, a lengthy article on why I've returned. So I'm back on iPhone.
Holy cow. That's a bombshell.
Well, even more last week. Well, Ruby told me already the name of the article. She said, My Adventures in Android Land. So that's what I'm going to entitle it.
How do you like the 10? I got to admit, I absolutely love mine.
Well, I tell you what, I believe it's the best phone I've ever used. And I've got to say this, not having seen it, I sort of thought Face ID was sort of gimmicky. I'll never go back to a fingerprint. Face ID is the best thing they ever made. It opens so quick, as you know. I forget I have a lock code. It just works.
Yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
I tell you, when you use it with something like 1Password or, I was totally shocked. The first day I had my iPhone 10, I opened up, I think it was the application for one of the local banks, First Bank. And I went in there and they had already updated their app to use Face ID. So I bring up this app, never logged into it on the iPhone 10 before. And it comes up and I tap on the, expecting that I was going to have to type in my password and everything. And it came up with the little Face ID thing. It scans my face and it logged me in. And I went, whoa, that was
Yeah, I
kind of
know.
cool. So,
We're
yeah, Face
talking,
ID is
yeah, Star Trek technology here. It's so much faster. Made me a little sad first time it scanned me. It came up a little. Have you ever considered plastic surgery? No, it didn't say that. It did not say that.
me. It's
But well, I tell you, I did return that phone because of the fingerprint scanner, and I've got an article written. There's some things, and as I mentioned last week, I really will miss about the Android, the automation,
yeah,
the customization. I did really enjoy that, but I was missing out on too much not having an iPhone. Uh, the iMessage is a biggie. I really do enjoy that with friends and family. I was getting around that, but by having an Android phone, even a carrier one that they carried, I could not get visual voicemail. I couldn't even get voicemail notifications. I had to call in manually, punch in my code. I couldn't. I was just missing out on too much things. So I've always wondered, if I buy an unlocked phone directly from Apple, will it work on our local regional carrier, Bluegrass Cellular? And so this was a good test.
yeah,
And it does. Totally.
that is cool.
Oh, I didn't have voice over LTE with the Android phone. And I sort of like voice over LTE. It's a really high quality,
Yeah.
and I can be on the internet and phone same time away from Wi-Fi. I sort of like that a lot. And so I didn't have, I was missing out on a lot of things, and a lot of, I'll mention I knew you was going to be surprised, but I'm back in the garden. I enjoyed my trip out, but I'm back home.
Well,
But
I'm going to surprise you. I bought pre-ordered a Pixel 3. No,
are
I'm
you
just kidding.
serious?
I'm
Okay.
kidding.
Now I didn't hardly believe you, but
I
here's
had
what
to
I'm
do
going to
that.
mention. I'll give you a brief abstract. It will be brief because I really mentioned a lot last week of what that I really, the reason I want to stay on the iPhone. Face ID, I've already said, is far better than I ever imagined. I cannot believe how quickly it works. And I'm using iOS beta 12. I put it on here just to try it. It will work while you're laying down. And the reason I say that,
Wow.
if you're on your side, maybe you just wake up and look at your phone at night. Face ID wouldn't always work. It will now. And the side mute button, that's a biggie. The hardware mute button, I miss that. I love how the notifications roll over the top. You can do that on Android, but it's sort of cumbersome. You have to work with it and coax them and various things. Apps are just prettier on the iPhone. Such better quality. There's no, I mean, everything I read says that it's just a prettier environment. And I like eye candy, you know.
Yeah.
It is prettier. Just everything seems like on Android was a little flat and dull compared. I mean, it worked great, but I think the apps are prettier. And this is a biggie. Apps almost always come first to the iPhone.
Yeah.
As an example, Carrot Weather, which I don't use, but it came to the iPhone. It was 3 years later it came to Android. 3 years. Alto's Odyssey was at least 6 months. And I enjoy phone gaming and know that the best premium games will show up on iPhone first and later on Android, if at all. You know, most likely they'll always, well, Mario Run was a good example.
Yeah,
Day
exactly.
one on iPhone, maybe 6 months later on Android. There
Well,
are
it's
a
kind of,
few. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was going to mention, great. No, I can't remember. I was going to talk about another. I was. I don't know if you're into geocaching or not. It's something I've been
I've
doing
done a
for
little bit, but
probably 15 years, somewhere around there. But every year I go ahead and I, re-up, and then, sometimes I'll go for months without finding a cache or going out
mhm.
looking for one. Other times, I'll happen to be in the area of something and I go, huh, maybe I'll look for one, and I find one, and life is good. Well, I got an email from the folks at geocaching.com today, and they were talking about a third party geocaching app. And I thought this was really interesting because, you would think that they would want everybody to use their app. And instead, they
Right.
say, hey, this third party app called Cachly is actually pretty cool because it does, some things that we don't do. For instance, it will actually send stuff to the Apple Watch. So you could go out and you can be looking at your Apple Watch, so people aren't, especially if you're in a city or something like that, you're not holding your phone out going, where is it? You could just be looking at your watch like,
Right.
huh, I wonder what time it is. And so anyway, the funny thing was is they put a comment there and they said, really, Android users, we will be doing something for you here in the next couple of months. So I thought that was, your comment really made a lot
Right.
of sense.
Well,
The,
it is. You know, I know I love playing World of Warcraft, and I do know that they're working on some mobile stuff because they posted job descriptions, mobile and all. And I know if it comes out, it most likely will be on iPhone first. And but I was talking about just how smooth it runs, and of course, this iPhone 10 is, having that 6 core. It's super smooth. I saw this on an Android site, and it was actually a video, a very respected guy. CPUs in the iPhone are about 2 generations ahead. Android just cannot catch up because whenever they introduced the 64-bit in 2013, Android just fell behind. It took them at least a
yeah,
year or more to catch up with that. Uh, Working so closely with the Mac is a big plus. Getting the iMessages on here, continuity if I wanted, just everything working together. I really like that. I mentioned iMessages. A couple more here, just highlights. I think I'm going to write this up for an article for us. The physical Apple Store is a real plus.
yeah,
Samsung, Google doesn't have anything like that. You can go into the Apple Store and just get things done, repairs. And this is sort of an intangible, but like I did have a problem with the fingerprint scanner. And if something like that comes up with the iPhone, whether in software or hardware, you can be sure Twitter is going to light up like a Christmas tree. And
exactly.
it'll be known. I'll know it's not just me, and Apple takes care of it very quickly. Everybody's running the same thing, and they know when there's a problem. And in other ecospheres, which is not much there, I feel a little lost and out there. No one to turn to. Are you having this as well?
Yeah.
And I said, in Android, you're sort of left alone. If something happens, wonder if it's even known about. Oh, this is a biggie. I love using Apple Pay on here. It's just, Apple
My
Pay.
favorite.
I know Apple Pay is so much quicker than Google Pay or Samsung Pay that I had used. As a matter of fact, I used it the other day, and I really had trouble getting the NFC reader and it's either the Pix or Samsung. I've gone through two. I've had two Androids. I could not get it to work at the store. I mean, I just kept on. I finally
Wow.
said, Ruby, I said, would you pay with your watch? And so she, ching, just like a commercial, you know, I just walk away with my head bowed low. So I went in there a few days later and the same girl was waiting on me. I just waved the iPhone over and just pay instantly. And you know how you double tap and everything. And she said, oh, you got it to work this time. I said, it's a different phone. And so,
Well, I
uh,
have to bring up, speaking of Apple Pay stories, a couple of things. First, I've noticed just like in the last month or so, a lot of the local gas stations are finally getting the cardless readers. And it was funny because the first time I tried it, I went up and I, do the double tap on the side button on my Apple Watch, and it told me that it read it, but somehow, some way, the actual transaction didn't go through. So I had to use my card, and I'm going grumble, grumble. Well, I went to our local station here. I don't know, probably a week ago, and I noticed they had new pumps, and they'd put in the reader, and I thought I'm going to give it a try. And I go tap tap, boom, it's paid.
right.
And the only thing that they asked for extra was the zip code, that was associated with that, which is kind of general with gas pumps. But it worked absolutely perfectly. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up was a guy that my wife used to work with has been out there on Facebook for quite a while. He's also retired. And he posted something the other day, and he said, and I'm just wondering, is anybody familiar with Apple Pay? And, can you tell me, is it good or is it bad or whatever? So I got on there and I told him, hey, I've used it from day one. There, getting to be more and more places that will take it, blah, 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 kind of went through that entire description there. And it was funny because the guy came back to me a little bit later today, and he said, I got it set up, which, once again, this is not a person who is really super astute when it comes to technology in the first place. But he says, I got it set up, and so far today, I've used it in 3 different places. This is amazing. That was his comment. And it works.
It really is. And my advice, whenever you see that icon, that that NFC, which looks like Wi-Fi laid on its side, sort of,
Yeah.
if you see that, just try it. I think I told you, Ruby and I had gone into a type of a dollar store here in the county. It's called Family Dollar. And they said had nothing about Apple Pay, but I saw that logo. So I waved the phone over, it paid. The lady was so taken back. She came around from behind the cash register and wanted to see it again. I had to buy something extra. I think I bought some M&Ms. And so, but try it and we are, even in our local county, rural county, we've got at least one set of gas pumps that has it already there. And so it's coming around everywhere.
Yeah, I've been totally amazed. A lot of times when Barb and I go on driving trips, uh, I hate to say this, and I think I brought it up before, but, we kind of plan our stops. You say, well, we're going to stop in Raton, New Mexico. We know where the McDonald's is, and you know that you're going to be able to find a clean bathroom, and you can probably get something, a soft drink or something like that to drink. And it never ceases to amaze me, as of about 2 years ago, pretty much every McDonald's in the country, you could use Apple Pay. Now,
Right.
sometimes the people behind the counter were like, "Oh, you can't use that here," and I'm going, "Yeah, I can." And I would just do dit, dit, boom, and I would pay it, and they'd go, I've never seen that before.
And
And it's just so cool to be able to show people that technology.
well, a little tip that my wife and I learned at McDonald's: if it doesn't go through and they look like it's not going to work, tell them, click the credit button. They have to
Yeah.
click credit, and then it goes through. So some of them you have to do that, and I have to tell them, and they'll say, "Oh, I've never seen that." And so, but
And
most
it's,
McDonald's, yeah, as rural as we are, the McDonald's here, I guess they're all getting it now. Have the big, you know,
Oh,
kiosk, the big, huge
aren't
monitor.
the kiosks great?
Yeah, Ruby's hometown in Berryville, Arkansas was the first place she saw, and it is nice. Just order and pay there, and I really like that. It's getting pretty modern. So I knew you would be surprised, excited of
I
going
am
back.
thrilled,
Oh,
man.
yeah. And I guess I'm most impressed with Face ID. I thought I would miss Touch ID, but I don't want to go back to using my thumb. You know,
Well,
it's
it's so
great.
funny because, after I got Face ID on the iPhone 10 last October, I my immediate thought was, damn, I wish my iPad Pro would do this. And it's so funny because, I love this iPad Pro or
Right.
this case that it's in, but, I've got a 10.5-inch iPad Pro, but I want Face ID on it so badly, and I want to see Face ID on Macs.
Oh,
And
it'd be
it
great.
just,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Well, I tell
that
you, yeah.
camera, come on, man. Just put a better camera up there.
Well, sometimes I did have a little trouble. I mean, Touch ID on the iPhone works great, but this is so much more reliable.
Yeah.
And I tell you one thing I did to make it even quicker, and I'm sure you're aware, if you turn off attention, there's two settings. The
Yeah.
attention requires your eyes to be looking. I actually turned that
I'm
off.
doing
Right.
that.
And like, say at church, if I'm standing at the podium, I've learned if someone texts me, people text me things to announce or tell, and I just glance toward the phone, boom, it opens up, and I'm at a pretty good angle, and that's why I keep attentive off. I know they say it's a little less secure, but I'll say this: my brother and I really have similar voices. We trip each other's Siri. He'll say, "Hey Siri," mine goes off, and vice versa, and mine just went off then, and it's so sensitive at times. It works though. And he would trip mine. So other day I was at his house yesterday morning. We were on the porch, and I said, "I want to try Face ID on your face," and it wouldn't work. So I think he was thankful, you know,
Yeah.
that
Thank God we don't have to have
yeah,
that confusion again.
well, that I'm thankful I don't look that much like you. I think was his thoughts, but we do, I guess, favor, and his face would not open mine. And we talked about even if you grow a beard with time, it adjusts, and someone I was somebody at church, I told them about the Android, and they talked to me about going to the dark side. So Sunday, I told them, I said, "I've come back." I said, "To the light," repentance. And they asked me about the Face ID. They said, "How hard is it to set up compared to the fingerprint scanner?" I said, "It's easier and quicker."
Yeah.
I found it extremely easy. Roll your head a couple of times. That's it. So I'm
Well,
very impressed.
yeah, I remember when I went and picked up my iPhone 10 because I had ordered it and I said I want to pick it up over at the local Apple store. So I got out there, and of course, the first day there were a bunch, well, not a tremendous number of people in line. They've kind of figured out how to do this, rollout thing. But I had to stand outside the store for a little while. But there was a person there. They had an iPhone 10, and this person said, "Well, I'm going to show you a couple of things, so you're familiar with it when you actually get your phone." And she said, let's train your, this phone with your face." And went in there, went through that thing,
Right.
doing, rolling your head there. And then, she said, "Okay, now we're going to hold this off to the side and you're not going to look, at it. And you'll notice that it's unlocked." She said, "Now look at it, like that, unlock, And I went, and I remember that was when I fell in love with that phone. And I've made the comment, just about every year I go in and I get the newest iPhone. I mean, that's just been one of those things so I can write reviews and do whatever. But I like this phone so much that I might consider, if there's not a big, evolutionary change between this model and the next model from Apple, I may just keep this phone because I love it. I think it's,
Well,
honestly the best
yeah.
iPhone I've ever had. Of
Well,
course, I
I
say
do
that
as
about
well.
all of
Yeah.
them.
Well, I realize I'm getting it very late in a cycle, and there's going to be phones next month. So you'll say, "Well, you'll miss out on the new phones." Well, I'm not under contract to this one. And so I told Ruby, I said, if I want the new phone come September, she knows what I mean. And
Yeah.
I said, honestly, I've already checked on eBay. This one still sells for about $1,100. It's 256. You know, I probably definitely could get 1,000 for it. And I told her, I said, if you want it, you know, you use it. She's got a 7 Plus, and I could get the other one. Though I told her, I said, you know, you deserve, and you, well, whatever you want to do, get the new one, you know, and sell this one. Or I need something to run betas on, though that would be a little pricey. But I probably don't want to miss out on the next one for one reason. I'm pretty sure this is 5.8, and the next one's going to be 6.5. And I would
Yeah.
like a little bit bigger screen. I mean, this screen's technically as large, even slightly bigger than the iPhone 7 Plus, but the body is so small. I'm not quite used to the size. Didn't you say Barb said it was a little small for her?
Yeah, it was so funny because when we went to the store, she was going to replace her, I think it was an iPhone 6S, but she said, you know, I want to kind of feel them in my hand. So I, you know, handed her my phone and she's going, it's too small. I just had to laugh because when the first Plus models came out, she was going, good grief, this thing is huge. But then she looked at the screen and said, wow, you know, I like the size of the screen.
Yeah.
I'm able to read it okay and I do all this. You know, that might be with my, you know, aging eyes, it might be the only thing that would push me over the edge to get a larger phone again. I kind of like the smaller form factor. It's a little bit
Yeah.
lighter. Um, you know, you don't feel like you're carrying a brick around, but I
Yeah.
still love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure they'll have a CPU upgrade and other things. And I feel like for being associated with Apple World Day, I owe it to you all to have a new one every year. But I tell you what, even if I didn't upgrade this year or in October, but one thing, I might have it longer than I think because, you know, the chip maker, was it TMSC or whatever, had viruses in their system and said there's going to be some delays.
Yes, they did. That was not a real good thing for them to do, but the computers that control a lot of their production equipment, and we're talking, you know, a chip foundry, so things have to be very, very finely controlled. You know, they ended up with some nasty little virus,
They said it
and
was an unpatched Windows machine.
uh,
So,
how
but
can they do that?
yeah, I
You know,
know
we're
you would
talking.
think. Yeah,
Whew.
it should be able to just be automatic, you know. But I guess I could go on about all the things I do like about this phone. Uh, One thing they did take out that I miss in the software, and you may not have noticed, in the 7 Plus, there's a, you can hit standard screen or zoom to make the icons bigger.
Yeah,
There is no zoom. They took that out for
yeah,
this.
that's very true.
But
And
I don't really notice it because the way the form factor is, the icons appear still close to, you know, bigger
yeah,
than the other one did, not so spaced out. So I'm fine with that. As a matter of fact, I sort of like it because when you, if I was zooming on this one, I'd probably miss something. It would skew the top, you know, a little bit,
yeah,
I would think. But it is so fast, and I do get into a lot of the geek parts. You know, this is the first iPhone where an app can address all 6 cores at one time. Before it was 2 or 2. Now, if an app needs it, it can open up and run all 6 full throttle and absolutely fly.
yeah. It really surprises me sometimes because there are certain applications that I, you know, I'll run, and I haven't run them for a while, maybe, you know, ever since I had iPhone 7. And I'll be looking at it, you know, and go, yeah, I remember this took a while to render this, and then it's done, you know, and it's like, wait
Exactly.
a second, what happened there?
Well, the first time I noticed that, I don't keep a lot of photos on the phone. I take a ton. I take a lot of screenshots, photos, but I upload them all to Google Photos, and I keep about 50 on there just of my favorites, you know, to share whatever. And so sometimes I'll build up to over 1,000 and want to delete everything but those 50. Well, the iPhone 7, you'd hit delete, maybe wait, you know, a good 20 or 30 seconds sometime. This, hit delete. They're gone. And it's so
Yeah,
fast. Yeah, it's just, I cannot believe what I told Ruby, I said, basically, I told her, I said, I can't believe how many advances they'd made in, I'd said 2 years, but it was 1 year. So,
well, you know, and we've talked about that. I think last week when we chatted, Apple hadn't gone over the $1 trillion market
right,
capitalization
exactly.
mark, and now they have. And in fact, they've bumped well past that. One of the things that definitely brought it up during that or that they brought up during that phone call last Tuesday was that, even with the higher price, the iPhone 10 still is kind of their top seller. People are
Right.
looking at it and they're going, you know, yeah, it's expensive, but it's an amazing phone. I think, though, this fall is really going to be a kicker for them because they're coming out with less expensive models that will probably have a lot of the same technology. And when this gets into the hands of people who, maybe looking at upgrading from like an iPhone 5S or something like that, and suddenly they've got Face ID, they've got all these features that, are a year old, but still they're going to be new to them. They're going to be more affordable than the iPhone 10. I swear, I think Apple stock, could definitely go 220, 225, probably within the next 6 months. So,
It probably will. This was this was more to me than just buying a phone. It really steered me to another decision. If I wasn't going to use an iPhone, what did I want my next main computer to be? And, I've got a Windows machine, but I love using the Mac. I just like how everything's laid out. So this solidifies it. If I've got an iPhone, my next new computer needs to be the Mac. I want it to be the Mac Pro. I'm trying to hold out as long as I can. And so it's going to be a
well,
while, but
I tell you, I just keep hoping, hoping, hoping that, we have September coming up here really soon, another 3 weeks. And we expect, of course, to see the new iPhones. But there are other hints of things coming out. They're talking about the iPad Pro with Face ID and a much smaller bezel. So even the 10.5-inch device is probably going to shrink a little bit.
right.
Um, that I would love to see. The smaller computer I can, or an iPad I can carry around, the more I like it. The other thing I'm really hoping is that they finally get off their rear ends and come out, with a across the board update to the desktop machines because they really, really need to do that. I think the indication also that we saw last week during the earnings call was that Mac sales are a little stale. There was a lot going on. Excuse me. Before that, you kept seeing, oh wow, 10% growth, 10% growth over the previous year. This year it was kind of flat. And I think it's because people are looking and they're saying, well, wait a second, how long has it been since you've upgraded this, Mac,
Right.
Mac Mini? Oh, like 3.5 years. How long has it been since you've upgraded the, this device over here? Oh, a long time. So, people, even, those of us who are those of you out there who are not the computer geeks, still tend to read a lot of the websites and they see comments like, what we say on Apple World Today and what you see on, 9 to 5 Mac and Apple Insider. Apple needs to update the Macs. They need to, push past this and really get some new equipment out there, not just do these little speed bumps that
You
we
know,
see.
well, you're exactly right. And I'm hoping in September, maybe they'll give a preview of the Mac Pro. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it's in design. I think that would help people to decide. I mean, they don't want to cannibalize, some of their iMac sales probably, but I really want a desktop computer so I can put a graphics card in it, things like that. And so that's what I'm going to hold out for. And so it's probably going to be we're talking 18 months and I can wait. The Mac Mini, I want to keep a Mac Mini running all the time as a server for the cameras. I love the Mac
yeah.
Mini. It's just a great in the corner, out of the way server. But then I want a really robust Mac that I can say, oh, I need a new graphics card or well, I've had 16 gig of RAM. I think I'm order 16 more, down the road somewhere.
Well,
I really want something.
I still want to see Apple make the Mac Mini. I almost said iPad Mini, but I want to see them make the Mac Mini something that is about the size of the Apple TV, maybe about
Right.
yay big, about yay thick, put a couple of ports on it, but really do what they're doing with the iPhone and a lot of the other devices, where you're really trying to get people, to look past the stupid cables and the ports. All these new devices would really need is a couple of USB-C ports. And you could have a Mac Mini this size, hook it up to an external, GPU box, kind of like what they're doing with the MacBook Pro right now, run it through USB 3, Thunderbolt 3, and, somebody could have a little computer like this that they could stack on top of their GPU box and just have an amazingly powerful computer. It's funny because when I got my, this machine that's sitting in front of me, this MacBook Pro last year, it was like, yeah, I like it, but I didn't really use it all that much. And like I said, with, kind of when I was playing around with it and doing, not playing around with it, but actually using it and working with good old Mac OS High Sierra 10.13, I really had a lot of issues with it. There were certain things that just didn't seem to work. Mojave got rid of a ton of problems, and it's a beta release.
I haven't gone beta on the Mac yet. I'm going to wait for the release on it, I think.
It's
so close, yeah.
It is really, really good, though. The one thing that I did find out, it was one of those, I went, oh, no. For years and years and years, I've used Text Wrangler, which was a free, fantastic text editor. And I just love it for when we do things like get the code that we use for our weekly newsletters. I go in there and I have to do some editing here and there. And so I'd open it up in Text Wrangler, make the changes, and then, put stuff out on MailChimp, which I'm replacing, by the way. But anyway, that's another story.
I read that story. It's a good one.
Yeah, saving me money.
Yeah.
But
that reminds me. Remind me to tell you about Apple Pay Cash in a moment.
Oh, I will. Yeah. But the funny thing is and I'm trying to think where I was going with this story.
I'm sorry. I got you. Textra, you're disappointed your Text Wrangler won't work or something.
But Text Wrangler, one day I was launching it and it came up and it said, you do understand that this app will most likely not run in the very near future. Some message like that. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So it's one of those 32-bit apps that's still running. So I'm probably going to have to just find something else. Sadly, I like the way that Text Wrangler works, so I'll probably have to go to their full package, which I can't think of the name of. But anyway, yeah, sad, very sad.
Well, before we close, we'll probably have a little shorter show tonight. But I had never used Apple Pay Cash. Yesterday, I had to do some things, some truck maintenance for my brother. He's had a bit of an injury and couldn't drive, and so I had to take his truck for some maintenance. My wife and I did, so I paid for it for him. And when we got back, I was going to set up Apple Pay Cash for him. Well, he already had it set up and already received some money from his daughter. I said, you've been holding out on me. And I didn't even know he used it. So I sent him a bill for the amount from messages, and he paid it within seconds. That is the nicest thing I've ever, that is so nice. And, I told Ruby, I said, this is the way Steve pays people on Apple World today. So I'm ready now. When the cash money really starts flowing, I am ready and prepared. And
double thumbs up there.
Yeah.
Man.
I tell you what, I feel almost amiss if I don't do at least one screen share of the phone, if you don't care, before we
go
leave.
for it.
Yeah. Okay. I like the way this screen shares. I find that a little bit easier than. Are you seeing the whole phone?
Yes, I am.
It's cut off on my thumbnail. Well, here it is. The of course iPhone. Let me just hold it up and see if I can. Yeah, Face ID. Did you see how quick it unlocked?
Yeah.
It's stunning.
It is.
I love that. That is the best feature they added.
That is magic.
It is. I can't believe how quickly it works, but it's so smooth. But I'll just show you a little. I'm running iOS beta 12 on here, and so I wanted to just show you one of the changes. There's quite a few. I'll show you how different the battery um, history looks. As you see, my battery health obviously is good. It's 100%. Just bought this phone Friday, and you see in the last 24 hours, my battery usage. It's got it from midnight over here at the left and then it goes all the way to right now. That's 24-hour view. I was, I didn't charge this phone. Another thing, wireless charging. Wow. Have you got any wireless? I've got 3 of them around the house, and that is so good.
I love it.
I had it close enough to 100%. I didn't put it on charge by the bed. And then it had dropped down during the night a little bit. I used it when I woke up, then topped it off. You see my day graph there. And there's for each hour of the day, the screen on time versus the screen off, which screen is on so much of the time. And what did I've used? And I've played some words with friends, tune in radio, the percentage of battery that's been used if I want to check actual time. Tune in radio, it's like the other 1 minute on the screen, but almost 2 hours in the background. But then I hit the last 3 days, and it just gives me bar graphs of battery usage and so home and lock screen. So pretty much.
What a nice little upgrade, because people do tend to be, well, I won't say all people, but I'd say those of us who are power users like yourself and me, we tend to obsess about battery life a little bit. And I really like the new battery setup, because it really gives you a lot of information about.
Well, it does. I like that as well. And I had to admit, how would I get used to the swipe gestures? I love them. To swipe up and over. That is well, as they say, buttery smooth. And in iOS 12, if I want to close an app, there's no pressing and holding to remove it. There's tune in radio. I'll do it. You just get there and swipe up. Now, you know how you have to press and hold on the other and have the minus sign. So there's quite a few changes, but I wanted to at least work in one beta, because when we meet next, it's probably going to be live as opposed. So
that's true.
Yeah, just to show you that I am indeed general and about phone here. I hit the wrong thing. General and about, and there's, well, I'll give information there. All right. I was looking for software update. As you can see, I am on iOS 12. And so that's something they've added. I think it's going to really help people who want their phone just to work. Your apps can already update themselves. They are adding it where I can turn on automatic updates whenever they have operating system updates. Never have to touch it. That's going to help a lot of people that aren't, more geeky, if you will.
Well,
you receive notification.
Even me, I tend to kind of ignore a lot of updates until just before I go to bed. I always, pull out the phone and I'm kind of checking things and playing around with Facebook and doing this, that, and the other thing. And that's usually when I do my updates as well. Most of them have been downloaded, but, they need to install.
Right.
And I can't wait for it to just totally take that away from me.
I want to show you a little.
Love that idea.
One of the things I like about the graphics so well, but I agree, I love that idea. Just set it on automatic, let it handle everything.
Yeah.
But whenever I swipe from the upper right now for control panel, it's a little bouncing between all the icons, how to space them out further when I get down. Little visual eye candy like that, boing. I really like. And see, it's not just bouncing the whole screen, but there's a space between each one. Yeah. They get bigger back. Just little subtle things like that really do mean a lot. And it seemed like there's one other thing I was going to point out. And of course, I don't know if that's this phone or iOS 12. Of course, I've had to get used from swiping the upper right corner, but that actually has helped me, because I used to have that turned off because I was always opening an app. Now that's up there, it's never a problem. So I'll switch back to the regular screen here. But
hey, I was gonna ask you, In terms of, you know, once again, whoops, sorry, I just got this update here. It kind of went, eh. But anyway, in terms of the wireless charging, which absolutely I think is a great thing. I love it. I love being able to just lay something down and have it charge. I thought it was so funny because there was a story out today that the European Union, which, as far as I'm concerned, they're just a bunch of bureaucrats in Brussels that tend to, let's see if we can regulate it. And back in 2009, they came up with this brilliant idea that smartphone manufacturers needed to be able to standardize on a way of charging, smartphones. And they were thinking they're going to go out now and they're going to punish Apple and Samsung and the rest of these manufacturers because they still haven't come up with a standard. And I'm sitting there going, you don't need a standard cable anymore, people. All you need is Qi, Qi compatible devices that, it doesn't matter what kind of cable you're using. It's idiotic for them to even see that. It shows me how bad bureaucrats are. They don't understand technology. They
They don't. And it's so cheap. I bought, I don't know if you can see this or not, how much space I've got here. Let me move my camera a little bit, and I apologize for doing so. But okay, you see,
there we go.
Yeah, you see, there's your MacBook Air over there that I bought from you.
I'll say hi to it.
Yeah. You see, I've got this little charger right here. It plugs into a standard USB port on your computer, then micro USB plugs into the back. And then, it's at an angle. I just lay the phone on it, and of course, it's going to charge.
Voila.
Yeah, but it's at the perfect angle that all I have to do is really look over at the phone. It unlocks. It could be. I like that. I get a notice. I was turned toward the phone. Ching, it's open. And I like that charger. Amazon, $20 for that. Yeah. I got 2 of them. But I was in Walmart the other day, which is an adventure in of itself. But I was in Walmart, and I just happened to walk. I always like to go through their electronics, just see what they have. And I saw a wireless Qi charger. That is the right one, and it's spelled QI.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite words in Scrabble. But anyway.
That's good. It's usually a lot of points, too.
It is. So I went by, and they had these Qi chargers, a big table full of them, 5 watts, and that's 5 watts as well. I actually prefer slow charging because the phone doesn't get hot, as hot, yeah. And I think better on your battery. 5 watts, the same as that one. $7. I know it said $10 on it, and I thought that's a great deal. I'm going to buy it. I actually went out of the store without buying it, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going back in and buy that charger. So I did. Walmart has a self-checkouts. I just went through and scanned it. Came up. It may have been $7.99, but it may have been $6.99. But it was right at $7, and I was stunned. And I'm so glad I've got 2 of these with the 45-degree angles roughly, or whatever it is, and that's just a hockey puck one. But I keep it by chair I sit in here in the office, got a recliner in here. I set my phone on it, top it off a little bit, and I almost rarely plug in a USB cable or, lightning cable anymore. I was behind the times. I didn't realize how far behind I was having last year's iPhone.
Well, I had to laugh because I was looking at press release that came in from one of the hardware manufacturers out there. And they were touting this new device. It's designed for Tesla automobiles, but it was a dual charging pad that fits right in this one little niche, and you plug it into one of the USB ports on the Tesla, and you can lay, I think, like 2 different, you could put an iPhone 10 on there and some other device, and they'll charge. And so I just couldn't resist. I had to go out and respond to the PR guy. And I said, wow, this looks really good. Can you also send a Tesla, maybe a Model S, but I'll take a Model 3 so that I can try this out.
Yeah.
He didn't fall for it,
No,
needless to say.
I guess not. So, but yeah, I'm glad to be able to tell you the things I've enjoyed about going back to an iPhone. I think being away a while made me appreciate what that I had given up by not having an iPhone. The right word synergy between it and the Mac and everything
Yeah,
working, so
yeah.
well together. An iPad, I love that.
Well, the one thing, it's kind of funny because you bring that up, and like I mentioned last week, I used to try a lot of phones. I tried everything that was out there, and I would buy these different phones. I'd be trying them out and reviewing them and doing all that. And in a way, I kind of almost miss that, because now I'm, whatever I'm reviewing, it's on an iPhone, the latest version of the iPhone. And I'm almost tempted that one of these days, if I, you know, if we ever make a lot of money with this website, which I'm not sure we're ever going to do, but if we can ever get to the point that we're really making some good money, maybe buy like one of the Google Pixel phones on Project Fi, so it's not expensive, and just to give Android another try, and do the same type of thing you brought up, because
Hmm.
I'm finding this fascinating, because watching your emotions going from one device to another and then back is
Right.
absolutely been fascinating.
Well, it's not to say I didn't enjoy the Android. It was a great phone. It was fast. It was speedy. It too was buttery smooth.
Yeah.
And of course, it just did have the hardware problem. I know that's an anomaly, but I guess I just do enjoy the mantra of it just works. With the iPhone and everything.
One
Uh,
one question I was going to ask you: are you going to start playing around with workflow app and see if you can get into perhaps doing some maybe some of the automation that you were able to do with that one app on Android?
I am, and because I'm not a developer, the beta they don't have available for us to download shortcuts. You have to be a developer to get
Yeah,
access to that app. I've loaded workflow, but I'm going to wait until they get shortcuts. I'm really eager for it. I know there'll be some more manual intervention, but that's okay. And
yeah.
actually, I do miss that automation. I don't think Apple will ever open it up to that point, but that's okay. And as my wife's told me, and I think probably my brother, there's no perfect phone. There's going to be some give and take either way, but you pick the best that works for you. I told you last week the analogy of a Corvette versus a farm truck. I really need a farm truck, but what I've settled on is a dress truck, not
Yeah.
a city truck, if you will. So,
You've got a F-150 Raptor.
yeah, that's exactly what my brother has, not the Raptor. And we both have pickups. We just live in that part of the world. Pickups are everywhere.
Yeah, they are here
And
too.
oh, yeah. And by the time we come together again, well, Friday or Thursday, if anyone's interested, the Galaxy Note 9 will be announced. So they've leaked
Yeah.
everything. And then on August 24th is when it'll probably be for sale. And then iPhone will probably be revealed. I'm figuring September the 11th or 12th, usually the second
Yeah.
Tuesday or so in September, and then the Pixel 3 in October. But of course, I'm
October
looking,
4th, it
yeah,
looks like.
October 4th. They've done that 2 years in a row. So,
Yeah, I tell you, it's going to be an interesting fall because everybody's putting out their best.
hmm
And that's what I love about capitalism is, these companies go out there and they really do compete, for that public mind share. They do their best. And, the goal is, of course, to make money. But what they end up doing is, making these things better for us. I would love to see the next iteration of iPhones uh, up it a little bit with the cameras, because cameras on iPhones they've had some minor improvements here and there. Of course, we went to the two lens cameras on the iPhone 10 and on the Plus models, but I would really like to see them go from 12 megapixels, where we've kind of been stuck for, I don't know, it seems like 3 or 4 years, but suddenly bump up to like 24
Yeah,
megapixels.
I
It
agree.
really does make a difference.
I could tell a difference. That Pixel phone I had, everybody touts the camera on it. It
Yeah,
was stunning.
yeah,
And, I'll have to say honestly that I think it's better than the iPhone camera. It seemed
yeah.
to have
I've
more
heard that from a
vibrant,
lot of people.
pictures. And I don't have samples right now, but from our house, from our driveway, I take a picture of the barn. With the iPhone, I could zoom in, it's a tin roof, and I would just see sections of 10. But with the Pixel, same resolution though, 12.3, I think. I could see actually the grooves in it. I could see far more detail. And so they do that all in software because it's a single lens. So that's something that Apple could up as well. So there's a few things I'd love to see in the iPhone. One thing I forgot to mention, I know we're out of time, but I absolutely love the build quality of the iPhones. They
Me too.
just feel good. And so I've been running this without a case until today. I was so afraid I was going to drop it because it's glass on the back and it is slick. So I cannot believe this is I bought it on Amazon, crystal clear. It's a Moku case and just, sort of a bumper case with the reinforced edges. And it's one of those that has something back. It doesn't get the air bubbles. Bought it from Amazon, no shipping, no tax, $5.99. I
Oh,
mean, you can't beat that.
I was going to
As a,
laugh. One thing when you've been, in fact, let me see if I can do the same with my iPhone 10. But when I'm moving it around or you were moving it around on the
yeah.
screen, uh, up here in the, of course, this one area, you could see a flash, and I kept thinking, oh, it kind of looks like your, uh, Android phone or your Galaxy S9
With the
with
indicator, yeah.
yeah, with the indicator. By the way, you do know that you can go in and you can get an LED indicator on your iPhone.
I did not. How can you do it?
Well,
With a
actually,
case?
no, actually, what it does, you go under, and let me see
I
if I
know I
can.
can flash the camera
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, under, yeah, you go
Yeah.
general accessibility, and where the heck is
Right.
it? But yeah, you can definitely LED flash for alerts.
I did know that. So,
Yeah. Whoops. It just
and so,
disappeared.
but I haven't tried that. But, I might want to. So, oh, this is one other thing I haven't pointed out to you. And I want to ask you if you've noticed this. I'd like to find out if anyone else has noticed this. I haven't seen it documented anywhere. Let me hook back up real quick because I'm sure the thousands watching. If you can give me just a moment here.
Oh,
Uh,
the stunning crowd that we have.
yeah, or stunned crowd, shall I say? Uh, no, it says application can't be open. Why does it say that? Probably. I may just hold it up because you might even be able to see it better. Let me try to get out of QuickTime. I've got to get a more powerful, faster computer sometime here. They can respond a little bit quicker. But I'll just let me force quit QuickTime.
Try
Force
saying that quickly.
yeah. That was a little rough there. Uh, New movie recording, and let me see if I can go. Okay, there we go. I just had to quit it back. All right. Well, I got to share that screen.
Oh,
All
whoops.
right. There
It
we
just
go.
disappeared. There we go.
Do you see the phone or you see me? You see me.
I'm seeing black right now.
All right. How's
There we
that?
go. I see
All
it
right.
fine.
Of course, this right here where that I adjust the brightness, right here. One thing I've discovered for the first time ever, I've turned on auto brightness because I find it really good on this phone and partly try to protect the OLED panel. But
Yeah.
something I've noticed, I do have on, if you haven't adjusted auto brightness on this phone, it's not where it used to be. It's not under display and brightness. Auto is not. You just have true tone. And I'm sure you realize this, but some may not. If you go, and this may be iOS 12, if you go into general, you have to go into accessibilities and that display accommodations. That's where you find auto brightness. It's a little hidden.
Huh.
So they've
I
really
did
made it a
not
little,
know that.
yeah, they've made it a little hard to find right there.
That's
So
putting it lightly.
yeah, you had to dig for it. So I keep it on. But one thing I have noted, let's say, it will adjust according to the ambient light. But if I need to manually adjust it a little bit brighter, it will stay there for a while. but maybe an hour or so after I haven't used the phone, it will get back to automatic on its own. And I did not know it would do that.
Huh?
I've got to test a little bit more to make sure that I'm right on that. But, okay, am I back? I'm trying to get me back now. Okay, there I am. Sorry about that.
There you are.
So that was sort of a question for you or anybody. Does it automatically revert back after a specific period of time? I think it does, because I purposely have set it to be a little higher than it had it. And then when I'll come back, it shall have adjusted it down or up for me.
Yeah, and I did not know that. So, and
And
I
I think,
don't know the answer.
well, if it does, I love that feature, because there's times I want it slightly brighter than it has put it. So I put it, but I don't have to worry about turning auto brightness back on. It will take care of it for me later.
Too cool.
Yeah,
Well,
I think Apple's going to a lot of automation. So anyway.
Well, we got started a little late, and I think all the huge number of whatever you want to call them, live viewers, the huge crowd there that we had. I think they don't know that we actually got started late. So anyway, we've been running for a while here, and we're just, like I said, we're kind of taking a little hiatus, taking a little break. We're going to come back towards the end of September. Between now and then, of course, keep going out to Apple World Today. Check out the site. Check out all the news. We've got a lot of interesting things coming up. We're going to have Apple announcements, and sure, things are going to be pretty exciting this fall. So keep coming to the site. We need you, folks.
And tune in and see what phone I have next.
Yeah, what you've got next week.
It's going to be this one or whatever follows of iPhone.
Well, I just can't wait to see the announcements, because for some reason I'm kind of excited again. A couple of months ago, I was really feeling, what's the term for it? Kind of like almost product ennui, feeling bored about, what was coming out there. But we're getting towards the fall, and I'm starting to get interested in hearing, what is going to be the latest and greatest? What new features are we going to see from Cupertino that are going to make us go, wow?
Well, I think it should be 5 weeks from today. I'm just checking on the calendar here. So
we can only hope.
Yeah. So it'll be here before you know it. So anyway, thought we had a good show, and I didn't mean to give too much information this week, but I had to tell you why I swapped back. So it had to be a little beefy there.
Well, I am absolutely, I think this was the greatest 2 weeks we've probably ever done, because.
Well, I probably knocked you out of something. You said today you had some things to share.
I was just totally, shell shocked there. It was like, I didn't expect you to. I honestly did not expect that you were going to have gone to an iPhone 10. I got to admit, I'm very happy you did.
Well, good. And I apologize if I knocked you out of sharing something you were going to due to the time.
I wouldn't worry about it. Well, we'll be back. Like I said, that'll be, I got to look at my calendar here. I'm so bad. September 18th, we should be back. Unless, we'll let you know if there are going to be any changes there. But until then, just keep watching all of the past episodes. And,
that ought to be a good show on the 18th, because we'll have the new phones to talk about, new iPads, and who knows what else.
Yeah. New cars. No,
yeah.
I doubt that. And we don't care about cars.
No.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Marty. And we will see you in about a month, or a little over a month.
Have a safe trip.
Thanks, sir. Have a good one.
We'll see you.
Bye.